Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternative. Today, I want to talk about the benefits of Michael, and today we're going to be talking about.
Today we'll be making one of my favorite soups.
Welcome to the
tomato
JR72 challenge.
I am Animated Mel, and I am your mental and wellness coach for
As always, perfection is not needed, but consistency.
We must first lovingly accept what is. You can't heal a body you hate.
We're going to bring up your next speaker. That's going to be the wonderful, magnificent Chris James.
If you talk about how much you hate your fat, your body has been working all this time to keep you alive. I don't think anybody in my circle understands impossible. Good day, everyone. Good day. Oh, man. Today has been one of those days where I had to get outside and do some stuff I didn't want to do. Somebody in the neighborhood called the cops. Not exactly the cops, but they called the city. I got like a classic Camaro, and I don't drive it very often. It's more like a backup car, like for the whole family. So like for periods of time, certain people be using it. And I have my own backup car, and then that's like a backup car that I let other people use. So it sits a lot. And people just do not like that. They do not like that. So like I moved it, and then I put a cover over it, and that was okay for a while. And now they don't like the cover on it. They don't like it. So me and Johnny were out trying to push this car because it'd been sitting so long. I guess the battery died. I don't know. So anyway, it's been a day, but hopefully you all have had a great start to your week. It definitely hasn't been a bad day. My camera is focusing on Captain America. What is up with that? The camera was focused on Captain America. Like, I'm a whole human right here. I'm moving, but it's focused on Captain America. Anyway, I hope you guys have been having a great week. The whole week has been fire. So as you guys know, we did announce our R72 challenge. We already have a couple hundred people that have decided to sign up and get started with us on this challenge. And every time we do a challenge, I like to do live streams, number one, promoting the challenge and explaining the benefits of the challenge, but also to teach, to generate more interest in, either becoming a part of our community through AHA communities or subscribing. Hit the thumbs up button for me. If you're watching, I appreciate it if you guys hit the thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? Get the video out there to YouTube land, Facebook land, wherever you're watching from. But yeah, so we've got the R72 challenge coming up. And today I wanted to touch on the fundamentals of fasting. Now, the interesting thing is, I can't remember which video this was, but like a video recently, I don't know. Someone commented on a video recently where they said, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly what they said, but they said something along the lines of, all this talk about preparation and, all this is basically nonsense. Just jump in. Like, just dive, just start fasting, right? You just gotta go. Now, I want to kind of address that ideology a little bit. And then I'm going to talk about the fundamentals of fasting as it kind of correlates to how I'm going to start my monologue. So first of all, when we very first started teaching fasting, we did not do prep. Okay. I personally prepped, but we didn't teach prep. And the reason why I didn't teach prep is because I didn't realize I prepped. Okay, so what you got to do is go back like almost what 8 years, 9 years with me, and you got to think about what was going on the internet, especially YouTube, as it relates to like fasting. Who was out there? Who was talking about it? What were they teaching? I think at the time you had Lauren Lockman, which was he was like one of the most prominent. Jason Fung was really when I very he was really just getting started. He was really just getting started on YouTube. Okay, I'm just saying like in the YouTube world. Then you had Cole Robinson, who was the snake diet guy, and I'm pretty sure he got started either close to the same time. No, I think he came before me, but I think he was out. And then you had like maybe one or two fitness channels that were talking about intermittent fasting, but not really. That it wasn't. No one was really talking about intermittent fasting yet. It was still very, very taboo. So I say all that to say, when I very first started fasting, you either was going to read books to learn about it or you're going to fast from experience. And I had come across Dr. Sebi, and Dr. Sebi had mentioned fasting a little bit, but primarily I was learning from um, this other guy who was going through his own personal experimentation, Dave Murphy. And I'm gonna have Dave come on one of these days. It's one of them things where the guy is so brilliant. What I would like to actually do when I invite him on, I'd actually like to invite him to Dallas to sit down and spend a couple days and maybe record a couple different sessions. Like you could record 2 4-hour sessions with Dave easily. Like he knows so much about so many different things. But he was doing some experimentation, and I really liked what he was doing because it seemed like we were of a similar mindset, but he was always a couple steps ahead of me. Like it was crazy. Literally, I would be thinking about something, like literally just thinking about my next step, wellness, whatever. And then Dave would put out a video about that thing because he'd already done some experimentation. So it was perfect. To this very day, I still enjoy his content. So anyway, when I started fasting, the first month that I did anything as far as changing my dietary strategy or anything, my friend Coach Mel, he had challenged me to do a month of no meat. I think you could probably call it a vegetarian month. But I don't know if he wanted me to do vegan or vegetarian, but I ended up doing vegetarian. All right. So I did a month of vegetarian, which was a very drastic change from what I had been eating up to that point. Up until that point, I was on the standard American diet. Now, when I was living at home with my mom, as a child, she would always cook. She would make some items from like a box or a can, like a few ingredients might come from a box or a can, but she cooked, I would say at least 60 to 70% whole food. Okay. So we had a great foundation. But then when I got on my own, I wasn't cooking dinner from scratch like that. I mean, I would cook, but it wasn't as good as my mom's, right? So I went to pretty much a standard American diet. So then I started doing the vegetarian thing and I saw incredible results from that. Like I lost weight in problematic areas. I'm talking love handles, areas that you just like you can't really, it's always kind of there. I felt more energy. Like I knew that making that change was going to be a huge benefit. So that was the beginning. I didn't think, oh, I'm going to fast. It wasn't like I'm going to do the vegetarian thing because I'm going to fast. It just so happened that I was like in this space where I'm like, I need to do better with my health. And I started with that. And that's similar to preparation for a fast. It's not complete, it's not what we teach now, but it's the beginning stages of it. And it's better than what most people do. So as I started to go down my little rabbit trail, I started learning about fasting. I also started learning about water around the same time. So as I was changing the type of water I was drinking, the amount of water I was drinking, I also started playing with fasting. So I prepped with like vegetarian food, and then I started drinking more water. I just got intentional about it. And then I started getting into fasting, and those all kind of came together. And that's how the preparation happened. I never just jumped into fasting without making those changes first. I had never tried it. I didn't know to teach it. And I didn't realize that what I was doing was prep. Like it just happened that way. Right. So when we started teaching fasting, people were, they're asking questions and they're excited because they see John's results. John lost, 50 pounds in 6 weeks, reversed his diabetic condition. So they're like, I want to dive in. I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, this is what we did. The reason why we developed the preparation is because trial and error. After speaking to so many people, working with people, getting feedback and all that, I realized that people were struggling. Like they were struggling a lot to get into fasting. And I didn't really understand it until I became more seasoned, right? Just putting information out on YouTube and getting, back in the day, I would check all the comments. I was always interacting. We had our Facebook group. I was always interacting. So I just learned a tremendous amount. That's why when people are like, Chris, how do you know so much? It's because I was in the trenches for years and I worked with so many people. It was just a great benefit. And at the time, it was a sacrifice for me, my time wise. I was always on my phone, always, I couldn't do anything else. But now I have this incredible knowledge base. So when we started developing our challenges, our programs, our 40-day wellness class, all these things, I'm like, yo, we always have to put preparation in because what we have found is that it makes people more successful. If you guys saw my live stream Sunday, I talked about how my goal is really to get our success rate up. I want something that people would think is impossible. I want over 50% success rate. I want to be able to say that if you go through our program or if you follow our teaching, you're going to have more than the average opportunity to be successful. Like you're going to have a very high level of success. So I'm always looking to how can I make this process better, more seamless? How can it apply to more people? So the fasting prep was literally like one of the first things. A lot of people think fasting prep is worthless. They think that it's a waste of time. I will say this. Can you fast without prepping? Yes, you can. You can do that. We've done it. We've had people do it. We've seen it. It just decreases your success rate. That's why I teach the fasting prep. If I'm talking to 100 people and they're if 40 or 50% of them are going to listen to me and they're going to do the prep, then that's going to increase the outcomes because everybody's not going to listen. There's a lot of people that are going to do what they want to do or think that it's not necessary. And some of those people will still be successful, but the mass majority of them won't. They won't have a high level of success. So the preparation is a fundamental piece of fasting. And actually, I even took it further and I'm like, look, when you talk about fasting, and this is like more of a mindset thing that I really want to drill home. Shout out to Bethany. She says she just signed up for the challenge. That's what's up. When you guys think about like fasting, okay, most people think about fasting as, okay, I'm going to abstain from eating for a particular period of time. And that's all the fasting is, especially if you think about spiritual fasting, where a lot of us do have experience with fasting for church or, something like that. So here's the thing. That is not a complete fast. And the reason why is because we live in a modern day where we have extremely toxic foods and our environment is toxic and we are immersed in toxicity. You guys would freak out if you truly understood how toxic everything that you interact with is. Like I don't even tell you guys everything because I know if I were to tell you this is toxic, that's toxic, you would just be like, okay, forget it, never mind. So it has to be a slow drip. Like I got to teach you stuff slowly, right? But because we live in this extremely toxic environment, when we fast, we do become more sensitive to the environment around us. And the problem with that is that it makes the fast more difficult, right? It doesn't, you could say mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever, it makes the fast holistically, it makes it more difficult. So, how do we combat that? How do we kind of neutralize or equalize that? We have to prep. So we think when we go through our preparation, it's not just a physical preparation. That's a big portion of it because that's like it's going to be one of the most impacting pieces. But you also want to prep mentally. It's important to prep yourself mentally. What are you going to be doing? What are you going to experience when you're doing this thing? When you're doing this fast, like what are you going to experience? How are you going to react to your experiences? What tools do you have available to you to help you get over these hurdles? All of these pieces are all very important. People always say, Chris, I did the fast, I did the challenge, I did this, I wasn't successful. How can I be more successful? I'm going to tell you guys, it's very easy to increase your level of success with fasting. It comes down to a simple word: intention. You want to be intentional. That's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. What does intention mean? It means, number one, you're new to fasting. There's no way you can know it all, right? That's the whole reason why channels like mine exist. We're sharing the information we've learned through our experience. They say that a smart man learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from others' mistakes. Allow us to share not only just our mistakes, but the mistakes of hundreds, if not thousands, of people in our community that have been shared with us. We have kind of done our best to help you hurdle those mistakes so that you don't have to deal with them. So you have to be intentional. You got to listen, right? Like how many of you all, when you watch lives, either lives by us or if you're in one of our courses, how many of you all are actually writing and taking notes? Like when you guys go to sign up, one of the options says you can purchase a AHA fasting journal with your challenge. We don't just add the journals because it's just something that we have. Those journals were made specifically to aid you all in your journey because I know the importance of journaling. I know the importance of taking notes. I've talked about this before. When I started taking notes, when I started creating timelines for myself, I saw my outcomes go through the roof. Not just wellness out. We're not talking about wellness. I'm talking about everything. And I've told you guys this before too, like at the beginning of the year, when every year I recap my year and I also put out what I want to accomplish in the next year. And I always do that. I'll do that at the end and the beginning of the year, but I'll also do it like 3 months before the end of the year as well. I think it's important to start your new year early. So if you're not being intentional, think about school, right? If you were to go to school, let's say we'll talk about college, because college you're paying for it. So you want to go be an engineer, and you're paying, I don't know, $11,000, $24,000 a year, or whatever the case is, to be at this school. Well, are you going to go to class with no pen, no notebook, no materials, and just listen to the professor lecture? How well are you going to learn? Most people learn through experience, right? Like doing something. But we can boost our recall by like 60 to 80% by writing things down. That's why in school they always have you writing. It also engages different parts of your brain, and when you as it relates to memory, the more senses that you use when you have an experience, the better you recall it. If there's a certain smell, if there's a certain sound, if you see something very specific, if you're doing a certain motion, your recall of those memories is more strong. So intention is extremely important, and the intention needs to be um, focused in the right way. That will help you increase your outcomes. Period. If you are not doing that, but you're complaining that you're not getting the results you want, you're not coachable. If you've heard me say this, right? Like you're listening to this now, and then a month from now, 2 months from now, you go through the challenge, but you're not doing what I'm telling you, you would be considered not coachable. Okay. And it is what it is. Some people are hard headed. Some people have to get to the end of their rope. Some people have to get really sick before they start to listen. Everybody's different. It's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's something that you need to understand about yourself, though. Because if you can understand that about yourself and you do want the outcomes, then you can know, okay, I got to push myself harder. I got to work. I got to be more diligent because I'm hard headed and I'm not coachable. And if you start to realize that you're not coachable, then you start to focus on being more coachable, being more malleable, so that you can accept the information and apply it properly. The thing is, when you're not coachable, you always want to go to an excuse. There's always an excuse for why you can't do something. The first thing you have to realize is in life, in the world we live in, we're either going to make an excuse or we're going to make a way. Those are the two options that you have. And you are free to make either one. Doesn't make you a good or a bad person. But what outcomes do you want? Like, what do you want? So if you want to lose that weight, if you want to reverse diabetes, if you want to live a longer, healthier life, then you're going to have to make changes. If you just want to talk about these things and you just want to be around and you just want to present as if you're trying, then just keep doing what you're doing. No problem. Like some people get comfort in just being a part of something. I'm not really here to judge you, to be honest, you know? So I just want you guys to be aware of that. If you're not coachable, become more malleable, more, coachable. You'll get better outcomes. Like it's so rare. It's so rare that I meet somebody who listens to everything, all the advice, and they're not seeing improvements. Like that is so incredibly rare. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because if I were to talk to and interact with, let's say, 1,000 people, one of them might have such a severe circumstance that I'm not well equipped to teach them or help them, And so as I've been doing this and worked with so many people, I do have those situations, and for me, it's a learning opportunity because now it's like a new challenge that I have to try to overcome. And I go back, I get some new books, maybe look over some old information, or go to someone else in a parallel space that's teaching and try to learn from them. Right? Like I have no problem with letting you know, like, hey, I don't know. I don't know what to do. But in order to get to that place, you have to follow my suggestions, A, B, C, D, E, right? Because if you don't do A, B, C, D, E, I can't know to tell you D, E, F, G. Like I don't know yet. Like we don't know what it is. You haven't even done A, B, C, D yet. And this is part of the journey. This is the wellness journey, right? These are the building blocks. These are the baby steps. You have to do A, B, C, then you get D, and then you get E, F, G. And then depending on where you are, that might be good. You might have solved your problem, or you might need more help. So let's get back to the basics. Let's do the fundamentals. When we talk about sports, we talk about basketball. They used to say that the Spurs were one of the most fundamentally sound teams. They weren't super flashy and all that stuff. They stuck to the fundamentals, and they were just a solid, stable team. We're not looking to be Michael Jordan out here. We're not looking to be Steph Curry or LeBron James. We want to be the Spurs. We want to be a solid, stable team that understands the fundamentals, because if you understand the fundamentals, number one, your progress is going to be smooth. You're going to make consistent progress. When life happens, you hit a bump, you're going to get rocked, but you're going to get right back on track. You're going to gain control over your car. You're not going to tailspin and hydroplane and go out of control and crash. You'll hit the bump and then you'll figure it out, and you're going to, because you understand fundamentals, right? Like, so preparation is key. So during our challenge, we're always going to teach you guys preparation, and we're always playing with preparation to see how we can how can we make it a little bit more efficient for a larger group of people. You know what I mean? Like we want to be able to benefit you all holistically. So preparation, then you want to make sure that you are gathering tools. You got to have the tools. So we talked about the notebook. We talked about becoming a part of the AHA community. So regardless if you guys are going to join the challenge or not, you want to have a support system. I don't know how any other way to say this. Like I've been trying to figure out like a better way to say it. You guys got to be a part of a team. Okay, we all know this saying, right? It takes a village to raise a child. We've all heard that. We know that saying. The part that everyone misses, when you have a child and you have that village that helps to raise that child, what do you think happens to that child after they become an adult and they mature? Do you think the child goes from being a part of this village, this community, and then boom, they're off on their own for the rest of their life? No. The child becomes part of the village and supports the next child. They don't go off on their own and become their own island. No one man is an island. We all need somebody. We all need a support system. We are literally designed. It is in our DNA. Stephen talks about this, and I don't want to butcher the story, but basically, the military conducted some pretty heinous tests, honestly, where they took like orphan children and they would put them in an environment where they were supported with food, and they had clothing, and they weren't like in a harsh, they were in a comfortable environment, and they had all the basic necessities except love, except support, except what you would get from your mother, your father, the village. And these are very young children. We're talking like infants and stuff. And they all died. Some of them lived longer than others, but they all died. What the experiment showed is that it's not, we're not just talking when we say you need a village and all this stuff. No, you need it. And just because you're 40 years old doesn't mean you don't need your village anymore, especially if you never had one. Not to mention, there's a certain lifestyle that we've built and maintained for a certain period of time, and it could be toxic or it could be, healthy. It is what it is. But we've learned how to kind of maintain it, right? I mean, not really well, because if we're here, then something's wrong. So we're not maintaining it well, but we're maintaining like the average person. But that's still not an optimal condition. But then you're going to introduce something very new, right? So you're going to introduce something that's abnormal. It's going to shock your system. It might be a culture shock for you. And then you're going to do it on your own. You're going to do it by yourself. It doesn't make sense. But what I will say is I understand that our society has trained us to be loners. And then maybe y'all have not thought about this, but I want you to think about this. In school, do they teach you cooperation or do they teach you independence? Think about it. When you take a test, traditionally speaking, is it you taking the test by yourself, or is it the entire classroom taking the test together? Are you allowed to talk to your friend and be like, "Hey, I'm on number 41. They're saying XYZ. Can you help me out? Can you give me a hint? Like, what do you think?" Are you allowed to do that, or is that cheating? Think about school. They put you in a circumstance where you are competing against the other children in the class. They are not teaching you cooperation. Now, for most of you all, you probably never considered that. You never thought about that. That's just one simple example of how we are covertly. They teach us to be competitive and they teach us to be independent. But it's littered throughout our entire society. It's even part of pop culture. But that's not how we survive. So that's the reason why it feels uncomfortable to be a part of a community and seek that and really understand that you need that. You've been taught being independent all your life. But I'm here to tell you, you're you are not made to be an independent. We are literally designed to be together. We're stronger together. We're stronger together. That's why the challenges are so impactful, because you have hundreds of people who are looking for similar outcomes. And then you guys get to feed off that synergy. So become a part of the community regardless. All right. I put the link in the chat and it should be in the description as well. This is a good point here, Sammy. Sorry. This is why I believe Japan does well. They have high values for all and are family oriented. Look, Japan and like any other community that has those morals, you know what I'm saying? You strengthen yourself. It's just common sense, really. Two minds are better than one. We all know that. You know what I mean? And we think we believe it and we think we walk in that, but we just simply don't. When your child turns 18, you kick them out. It doesn't matter how well suited they are for the world, the environment. They're 18. They're legal adults. You kick them out. It's time to fly. Got to get out. Do your own thing. That's not how it's supposed to go. I have no problem with training a child to become a man or become a woman and giving them the proper tools and then allowing them to go and seek their own family. I got no problem with that. We don't do that. We allow society to train our children, right? They're with their teacher at least 8 hours out of the day. Not to mention the commute there and back home from school. Then, depending on your schedule, you may or may not be home when they get home, which means what? Now the TV is teaching them. So you're letting the executives and the CEOs of different corporations, whether it's Kellogg's that tells you that cereal is a great dinner option, or whether it's, Sesame Street. It doesn't matter whoever. And then they teach the children for another 2 to 4 hours until you get home. And then you come home and maybe you may help them with their homework, or maybe you spend a little time, or maybe you got to cook, maybe you got to clean, maybe you got other things going on, right? So we allow other people to train our children, and then at 18, when they're improperly developed, and we kick them out, feed them to the wolves, because now somehow magically, because they're this age, they're supposed to be adults and responsible. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, and it's the way our society is set up, and it's not right. It's wrong. It is wrong. Not only do children need that support from that village, but they also need to be prepared for the world before you kick them out. It's a very harsh environment in the real world. And even us as adults, a lot of times we're not properly prepared to handle this. This is why we're so sick anyway. We're so sick because we can't handle this environment. We live in an environment where we are physically safe for the most part. We're in a civilized world. We don't really have to worry about, for the most part, walking down the street, getting killed, stabbed, mauled, whatever. But we're being slowly poisoned by the food we eat and the content we absorb, whether it's music, whether it's health and beauty products, or whatever, right? So we really need to come back together as family, like in general. This is outside of just wellness and stuff. Like, we need to come back. We need to become family units again. We need to become community again. And everybody needs to impart a little bit of their wisdom into the children in the community so that the children have a very well-rounded view of the world around them. They have a skill set from each one of the adults that they interacted with, and then they'll become better, well-rounded people, which will make our world better, right? But there's people and systems that don't want that because we used to have that. So why did that ever go away? Okay. So be coachable, get your tools, get yourself a journal, get yourself whatever supplements that you think would help. You know, I have my idea about what supplements might be beneficial, and we present that information because I know on a broad scale it'll be beneficial, and we've seen that. But you might have some specific needs, right? This is why we try to teach from different angles. We talk about the essential oils, we talk about the herbs, we talk about the journal, we talk about the community. We're doing our best to teach and give you guys different options, and then you can really. I've been getting spammed so bad by Facebook. It's not Facebook, but it's like spammers on Facebook. Anyway, um, we can create well-rounded children and have a well-rounded experience. All right. So another fundamental of fasting is proper hydration. We do talk about proper hydration in the preparation, but holistically, because I think we talked about this on Sunday as well. Hydration is it just it's gotta be a focus. Okay, so we talked about intention. Where does your intention need to be? It needs to be on hydration. That's very important. Um, if you look at every system in the body, if you look at the how does the body fight back, immunity, all this stuff, you have to be proper hydrated in order to do this. Otherwise, your body becomes sick very rapidly. If you're dumping a lot of toxicity into your system in order for it to be moved out, which is a great thing, you got to be lubricated. You got to have hydration. You need that. So we got to focus on hydration. I have mentioned to you guys on many different occasions how I like to promote hydration as best as we can. For most people, I would love to tell you all to go drill a well, filter your well water, and drink that. I would love to tell you that, but are you in a city? Are you even allowed to have a well? If you are allowed to have a well, what are the big companies around you dumping on the ground that's leaching into your well water? Like it's so difficult for us based on the environment we've been put in to get healthy water. So what I did was I came up with a solution that will work for most people. It'll work, and it may not be the optimal solution for everybody. If you live in Honduras and you've got natural springs, go for it, right? Like that's different. But most of us need something that we can be consistent with. So I tell you, get distilled water. It's a pure water. You take all of the physical material out, you put in a clear glass jar, you put that outside, you let the sun ionize it for a day. That will reformat the water, and that'll clear any negative frequencies in the water. And yes, this is important. It means something. It's not arbitrary. And if you are thinking, oh, this is nonsense, Chris, it's just as unimportant as the prep. Once again, you are not coachable. So you're probably having problems, not just with fasting, but in other aspects of your life because you're not coachable. You got to be willing to lean on somebody who knows more than you. If you've done the experimentation and you've done the research and you know something better, add that then. Don't just say, that's stupid, Chris. When people do that, it's like you're showing your ignorance. It's not stupid. I have a very concise reason why I teach this. And if you can't refute those points and come and also present a better option, you're just being foolish. So I know some of this stuff isn't super fun. It's not exciting, but I'm trying to help you guys get better outcomes. So if you take it seriously, even if you don't fully understand it, just do it. Make it a part of your routine. Sun charge your water. Just sun charge your water. And then if you're documenting and you're writing in your journal, you can see how it changes your outcomes. I'm gonna get to some questions here soon. Fundamental. The fundamentals of fasting. Fundamental is forming necessary behavior or core, right? It's a central importance. It is a understanding. It is when life comes for you, it's like it's a floor that you will hit and you won't go below that. This is what good fundamentals are. The basic principle of fasting is abstaining from food for a period of time. I personally think 24 hours is really like the minimum amount of time that you want to be fasting if you're looking to progress. If you're looking for maintenance, intermittent fasting is incredible. If you're looking for toning and fitness, intermittent fasting is incredible. You still got to be very good with your dietary strategy when you utilize intermittent fasting, but holistically intermittent fasting, when I want you guys to understand this, for the mass majority of people, they come to a plateau with intermittent fasting. I want you guys to understand that. I'm not taking a shot at intermittent fasting. I know there's outliers, people who have, performed intermittent fasting over X period of time and gotten a great result. I'm trying to get you to understand that in my research and in my experience and seeing so many people like do use intermittent fasting as their primary fasting method, they're going to either hit a plateau or they don't really see good results and it fizzles out. Okay. This is the mass majority of people. This is not everybody. There's some people that could use it and it's absolutely wonderful for them. So I like to teach intermittent fasting more as a maintenance. That's why we don't talk about intermittent fasting as much. So when you think about fasting, you want to think about prep, you want to think about your fasting method. I want to say that 24 hours or more as a minimum. And then you want to include the refeed. These are the fundamentals of your fasting process. Prep, fasting, refeed. You got to have those things clear and concise. And if you aren't good at doing 24-hour fast, you've got to build up to it, right? And there's ways that you could do that, but you got to be intentional and ask questions specific to the issues that you're having. And then we could give you feedback on what you could do better. And then you got to be coachable so that you could take that advice and apply it and then come back with more feedback. Hit the like button for me, y'all. We got a couple questions. Feel free to throw a couple questions in there. And let's see here. Hi, Chris. I heard about the R72. I'm hesitant to join because I'm not sure if it's the right fast for me. I spent all of last week in the hospital with chest pains. My blood pressure is 173 over 102. So when you say you're not sure if it's the right fast for you, the question will be why. If the reasoning is specifically because you're in the hospital with chest pains and you just don't know if it's maybe too intense for you, what I will say is you guys would be surprised at how beneficial not eating is when you are in the worst condition of your life. Like if you guys think about when you get sick, if you think about it, typically you lose your appetite almost every time. Some people have like overwritten their natural reaction and they're able to like eat or they want to eat or whatever. But for the most part, most of you, when you get sick, you don't want to eat. Natural reaction. We're usually forced to eat. So you'd be surprised at how beneficial fasting is across the board when you're not feeling well. There's always those small circumstances where you need to eat or something of that nature, but those are the extreme minority. And based on what you've told me, I don't see a reason why fasting would be an issue. It would probably benefit you more than you know. If you went in with chest pains and it correlated to your high blood pressure, then it'll help you more than you'll know. Now, Here's what you got to understand about the challenges. I understand that most of you all think if you join the challenge, you have to do it 100%. You can't do your own thing. You can't make alterations. It's okay to make alterations for your personal situation because the greatest benefit you're going to get from the challenge is being a part of the community, in my opinion. You're going to get the knowledge and you're going to get access to the coaches so you can ask questions, and that's important. But if you need to make a slight alteration to the process in order to be successful, that's encouraged. So you don't have to worry about that. It's important to it's important to commit to something and then be in a space where you can be supported. So even if you I mean, uh let's say you wanted to do 2 days with fasting and then a day of juice or something like that to help you, that's okay. Some people are going to do dry fasting. The thing that you guys just need to understand is we're going to teach the R72. That's the part you need to understand. So you that's really the most important thing. Um if you don't know how to dry fast, for example, and you want to join the R72 to learn how to dry fast, that's not the right challenge because we're not going to teach you dry fasting. But if you know how to dry fast already and you're going to join the R72, and you're just going to dry fast while you're doing it, that's fine. You know? What day is the first day water only? Uh, I'm assuming you're asking for the date. Let me look at my calendar. The 3rd, June 3rd, should be the last day. Or the 3rd is going to be the first day, sorry. Last day of the prep is first day of the fast. I've been distilling my own water and then putting it into the sun for years. It removes excess metals from the body, and I am no more sensitive to EMFs. Oh wow. When it's not sunny, I put crystals in it. Wow, 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 wow. That is incredible. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad I caught that. I think I mentioned this on my Sunday call. When you do the distilled sun charged water, it does leach inorganic minerals out of your body. So it's a great tool to help you pull out not just heavy metals, but any contaminants in the body, really. So I've been using it for years. I actually noticed that when I don't drink my sun water, when I don't drink at least distilled water, my experience drinking water is very low. Like I just don't. It's not as refreshing. And there's alternatives too. Like we drink infused water. Like there's always alternatives and stuff. But like if I go to the store and I buy a bottle of water, spring water, just like a bottled water, you know what I'm saying? It's always, I don't know how to describe it. And if you guys have been drinking the sun water or distilled water, you guys know what I'm talking about. It tastes dull. It tastes lifeless. I don't know. It's really difficult for me to drink, and I got to chill it or something like that. Man. Okay. We got a super chat. Hi, Chris. I spent all of last week in the hospital with chest pains. I'm now home with blood pressure. Okay, this is the same. This was from the same person. They gave me blood pressure meds, but I don't want to take them. Yeah, so if you were in the hospital, and I'm assuming they're saying that your blood pressure was part of this problem, right? That put you there, gave you the chest pains, then yeah, fasting would be amazing for you. It's really sad that our wellness outlets won't teach us like really simple things you could do to help benefit you. Um, it really bothers me because you could easily tell somebody, okay, You want to lower blood pressure. You don't have to necessarily adopt a 3-day fast to do it. You could also do it by changing your diet. If you just do raw food, you're gonna get the same benefit. Here's the thing about raw food for a lot of modern people. We have underdeveloped microbiomes, gut microbiomes. And so sometimes raw food is more difficult for us to digest because we're not used to digesting it. So what I would say is if you can eat raw food, that's a great option as well, you know, outside of fasting, or you could do shorter fasts. Um, I would encourage you. I personally think, based on what you're telling me, that being a challenge will be a great benefit. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. You don't want to take the meds. We're on board with that. So you can replace your medication with essential oils. Um, trying to think if we I can't remember if on the R72 we talk about, I think in the 21-day challenge, we talk more about the essential oils. However, you are more than welcome to ask questions about that, right? You could talk about whatever medications that you're using. And this goes for anybody. You can ask like, oh, I'm taking this medication. What would be like an essential oil I could use instead? Because that's an option. That's a real option. All of the synthetic medications and all the petroleum-based medications that they tell you need for your body, they're all the science that created those medicines come from plants. So it's like let's just cut out the middleman and let's just go back to plants, which was they were put here for us. So raw food, maybe a little bit of fasting daily, essential oils in place of your medication, grounding, super, super effective. We're talking bare feet to ground. And then also getting proper hydration. These things will help you tremendously when it comes to um, reversing the high blood pressure. So, see it put another one in here. The reason I'm afraid of the R72 is because I'm afraid my blood pressure will go back up during the refeed. If my blood pressure is that high, should I be doing a longer fast? Well, that's an interesting reason to be afraid because your fear is that your blood pressure. Okay, so your blood pressure is already high currently. So doing what you're doing now is not going to work, right? You can't keep doing what you've been doing. You're going to get the same result. Your fear is that you'll fast and it'll go down, which it would. But then when you refeed, it'll go back up to where it is now. But you're already where you're at now. So you're already living your fear currently. You're literally in your fear right now. Fasting or doing the challenge isn't going to make that fear more real for you than it is right now. The only thing that the challenge would do is give you an opportunity to actually heal that and reverse it and benefit. So this is where the idea of there's nothing to fear but fear itself comes from. You're afraid of success because if the fasting works and it lowers your blood pressure, that would be success. And then really after that, it's just maintenance. It's like, what do you need to do to keep from going back up? So during the challenge, we're not just talking about the fast itself, and we're also talking about what you need to do in the future and how you're going to maintain that success. So it's a holistic teaching, and one of the great benefits is you're going to be able to see recipes and things. You're going to be able to a lot of people don't know what to eat. Like, what do you eat to keep your blood pressure normalized? People don't know what that is. It's like we've been we've been lied to for so long. It's insane. I was talking to one of my colleagues, maybe it was last year or the year before last. He does puppet. He's like a puppeteer, and he was telling me how the children that he works with, they don't know where food comes from. Like, they don't know that they don't know what a fresh vegetable looks like. They don't know that hamburger comes from a cow. Like, they don't know where food comes from. Now that sounds extreme to us, but we also don't know how to eat healthy, and we don't know what healthy food is. So we have a similar problem, it's just at a different level, you know, and our children are suffering more than we are because they think food comes from a can. And this goes back to that movie Idiocracy. If you guys have never seen Idiocracy, I highly suggest you check it out because it's crazy. But you can also see, if you look at it with the right lens, you can see that we're headed that direction. I don't know what else to tell you except join. It's not going to hurt you. The only thing it could do is benefit you. You're already living in the fear. You're already living in that place where you don't want to be now. So what you can gain from being a part of the challenge, if you're coachable, is the information to help get you out and keep you out and keep you away from those medications. When it comes to blood pressure, that's probably one of the like most frequent testimonials we get, because a lot of people deal with high blood pressure, high cholesterol. There's certain things that people just everybody has. So we get tons of testimonials about people getting off their medication and stuff like that. Do you recommend long-term juice fast, 30 days or more? Actually, I recommend, if you're going to do primarily juice fasting, like that's your goal, you don't really want to dive into like, water fasting or whatever, maybe even dry fasting, I would actually recommend a longer dry fast. We use juice fasting for 30 days as a stepping stone to just, well, first of all, juice fasting has different benefits than water and dry. So it's you get different level of benefit, but we use it as a stepping stone to help get you prepared for water fasting, especially for like a 21 day. But if if you're just like, oh, Chris, I love juice fasting, that's like where I'm at, I'm going to tell you, yeah, do 30 days, do 90 days. Most people who are going to do juice fasting, and that's going to be their primary fasting technique, you're going to benefit from really long juice fast, 90 days. And I know listen, it's a long time. That's 3 months. So a lot of people don't like the idea of that. But what I'm saying is, if that's what you want to do, yeah, 30 days is fine. Do 90, you know, like just do juice. It's incredible. And you'll through with the 90-day juice fast, you'll get similar results to water fasting. That way you don't have to water fast if you don't want to. But nothing wrong with 30 days. Nope. I'd say do 90. Okay, I answered that one. Do we use castor pack during fasting days only? On this challenge, the castor pack is recommended daily or nightly. You're just gonna, before you go to sleep, you're just gonna put the castor pack on each night through the challenge. So remember, when you guys are in our challenges, we're not just, it's the days that you're fasting are not the only detox days. If you're following the protocols to the T, we recommend raw food during your eating days. And really, if you want to get optimal, you just do one meal, and you will still detox pretty heavy. And the castor pack will help keep everything moving so that you don't get backed up. So castor packs are one of them things you guys could use every night if you want. And also, don't forget, castor packs don't have to go over the liver. That's just where we're going to have you guys do it for the challenge. But if you've been using a castor pack for a while, you can move it. You can move it over your womb if you're a woman. You can move it like around as close to your prostate as you can. If you're a man, it's a deep penetrating oil. So all you got to do is just get the castor pack over that area. You can move it over your kidneys, your spleen, any system that you want to really touch on. So I want you guys to know that. There you go. There's a protocol with essential oils that lowers your blood pressure in 15 to 20 minutes. So if you're monitoring your blood pressure throughout the day, you can just use the oils to lower it. It's very easy. The thing is, they try to make everything seem so hard and difficult, and it's not. But they have to make it that way. If you guys understood how easy it was, you wouldn't need them. That's the problem. They're scared. And see, here's the beautiful thing about it. Someone might say, okay, well, what's that protocol? Well, if you guys are all in the challenge, you see a comment like that, you could just be like, hey, what's the protocol? And then you guys can connect and talk. And this is why I love the community aspect, because people have their own personal experience. I never had high blood pressure, but somebody else did. Many other people did. And then they don't have it anymore. And then they'll put a testimonial in there and you'll be like, well, what did you do? And they can tell you exactly what they did. And there might be 3 people that reversed their high blood pressure, and they may have done it 3 different ways. So now you have options. It's not like you got to just do it the one way that Chris tells you. You got options now. You could choose the one that resonates with you the best. And this is why I love our community. Does sun charging work for bottled spring water? Asking because I have cases of it and want to use it before buying distilled. Yeah, you could charge any water. I describe the way I describe how you guys do your water is like best case scenario. It's like what I would, if you guys can, that's the way I want you to do it. But you could use spring water if you just want to put it outside in the glass, or you can obviously buy a distiller and distill your spring water. So that's also an option. I think the biggest challenge is coming out of the fast. Maintenance. I tell you guys, and this is something we stress, the refeed, if we just want to call it refeed, the refeed is the most important part of the fast. Remember, the fast is prep, fasting cycle or fast, and then refeed, right? So that's the whole fast. The refeed's the most important part. If you were to do the refeed indefinitely, you would lose weight, you would see benefits. And it'd be much easier to maintain than just fasting indefinitely, right? So the refeed is the most forgotten part because it's at the end, and most people, if you're going to give up, you're going to give up before the end, right? So you miss that, or it's the part that people think, oh, the challenge is over, it's not a really big deal. It's the most important part. Yes, sun charging has to be in glass. If you sun charge in plastic, you're defeating the purpose. You'll actually release, the sun will break down the material. The plastic is made out of petrol. It's made of oil. It'll break those chemicals down and it'll leach into your water. You might as well be eating the plastic, which by the way is margarine. Y'all remember back in the 90s, I can't believe it's not butter, margarine, the war on fat. Remember? They were telling you that margarine was healthy for you. There's people to this very day that don't know that was propaganda. This is what I was talking about earlier. Like, that's propaganda. That they were using marketing. They were selling a product. There's no third party regulatory system, health and wellness regulatory system that is like making sure that these entities are doing and saying the right things, the things that are going to be the best for you. You're an adult. You got kicked out. You got to do it on your own. So cholesterol was demonized too, right? As a part of that whole time frame. Saturated fats from animals, cholesterol, organic food was demonized. And we utilize something that it's not even food, it's basically plastic. And you see the rates of Alzheimer's go through the roof because there's like 70% of your brain is made up of a particular type of cholesterol. There's a cholesterol that you need for your brain to grow and to function and restore itself. We demonize cholesterol. I guess people in wellness fields know that there's like good and bad cholesterol. I personally don't really subscribe to like good and bad cholesterol. I'm always about balance, and I think that everything is necessary, but usually it's based on the stimulus your body is experiencing at that time. So when we have things that we consider bad happening, it's because there's a stimulus that you need to stop. You need to stop. You need to get away from, whether it's poor eating habits, a stressful job, a stressful relationship, and the body's just simply responding to that stimulus. So I don't really look at good or bad, but you know, this is an interesting comment. A YouTuber passed away due to blood pressure issue after fasting and losing 200 pounds. Check with your doctors. So we sometimes see things like this where somebody will say that this person died from fasting or whatever the case may be. Obviously, this comment is saying that they died from blood pressure issues after fasting, right? So what I always tell you all when it comes to this type of stuff is fasting, you'll never find that someone died because they were fasting. Fasting does not kill you or harm you. What fasting does is it will clean your body up and it will increase your sensitivity to poor habits. I don't know this guy, I don't, or this girl. I don't know this person. I don't know their habits. I don't know anything about their channel, but it's very likely that they, may have done some long-term fasting or consistent fasting over a long period of time, maybe went back to some poor eating habits, or didn't properly open up their elimination pathways when fasting. This is also part of the reason why the preparation is important, to help support opening up your elimination pathways. Also, this goes back to what I was saying in the very beginning of this live. It's important to pace yourself. That comment that I was telling you guys about, just jump in. It's like, no, don't just jump in. Learn, understand the process, ask questions, familiarize yourself, and then gradually get yourself adapted to fasting. Why? Because we live in an extremely toxic environment. So you can have really extreme outcomes if you don't understand what you're doing. I don't recommend talking to doctors about fasting because they typically do not fast. They don't teach fasting. They don't study fasting. So they're typically not good sources. If you want to talk to a doctor, you want to talk to a doctor that teaches fasting. So Dr. Jason Fung or somebody like that. My recommendation is to talk to a fasting professional, somebody who actually teaches fasting, and if you want someone who's credentialed, that's fine if it makes you feel better. But the person with the most experience is really who I would go to when it comes to that. But I don't recommend that you guys just jump out and do stuff on your own and stress yourself. So I don't disagree with your comment. I just, it's always that general warning. Speak to your doctor. It's like doctors don't know everything. They're not the best source for a lot of wellness information. When you have an issue with your car, you go to a mechanic. You don't go to your lawyer. Okay, if you get hit by a truck, you might want to go consult your doctor, right? Because that is what they're designed to do. They're taught trauma, like that's what they're good at. Rockefeller created an environment where doctors were looked at as holistic wellness practitioners, and they're not. And then they demonized all the real holistic wellness practitioners. If you want to go and talk to somebody who's credentialed, maybe like a chiropractor or a acupuncturist or something of that nature, I would put them above a doctor. Okay, just be careful about who you take advice from, because most doctors don't fast. So it doesn't make sense for us to talk to them about fasting because they don't know anything. Some doctors do. We have doctors in our community, but a lot of them don't. Restore helps me control my blood pressure without meds. So Restore is a product by the Root Wellness brand. I've never heard that. See, this is why, once again, this is why I love the community, because you guys all have such unique experiences, and we do have a lot of different supplements and things that we will suggest. They're usually going to come from a couple of different, very specific sources, but we don't know what they all do and how they affect you holistically. Like, I remember I was I had suggested juniper berry to one of our members uh, um, for one particular issue. I don't remember, and it ended up helping them with their nightmares. Like I didn't even realize that. And then later on, I looked it up and I saw that it did help with that. But there's some pretty amazing outcomes that you can get from many different things that we talk about. You just have to pay attention. Got to pay attention to your body. Can you refeed with green juice? Yeah, you can refeed with green juice. It's a part of our refeed. You just always want to listen to your body. So if you refeed with green juice and you see that uh, it's not working for you, do something different. I noticed that if I prep by slowly eliminating carbs and replace them with protein and get into ketosis, I don't get as hungry as when I prep with fruit. Can you address it? Yeah. Yes, if you get into ketosis when you go into fasting, people tend to find it easier. Yep, you're right. Nothing really to address there. You're right. Um, you can get into ketosis without using animal protein. There's, but yes, this is correct. Is it okay to pour your sun-charged water into a plastic cup or bottle? No, don't pour your sun-charged water into in plastic. Don't do that. It's kind of like undoing the work that you've done. Is it still going to be beneficial to a degree? Sure, it'd be better than if you would have got it out of the plastic bottle originally, but no, get yourself a glass container. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, talking about intention. Like just be intentional and get yourself some glass to drink out of, or just a natural. I've been drinking out of copper for the past year. Before that, I was doing my crystal water bottle almost exclusively. You guys can try different things, play with different things, but you don't want to use plastic. What is refeed? Refeed is a period of time designated to ease your body back into general eating after you've like gone through a fasting process. So if you've been fasting for 3 months, doing a rolling fast, you're gonna start eating what you consider normal again. And if you just go back into eating normal foods, that comment that we had earlier about the guy who passed, that's super, super, super rare. I don't want you guys to think that that's like a common thing. It's not. That's not common. That's not. Um, and once again, I don't know. That was just a comment. I don't know. I'd have to do research on that. But what I would say is common is that you fast and then you have some kind of discomfort because you don't break it properly. So you want to give your body a period of time to adjust to digesting processed foods again, dense foods. And so we just teach you how to do that properly. Okay, guys. Um, that's all I got tonight. We're a little bit over anyway. I want to make sure that you guys know the goal here is to teach, give you good information. If you guys got something good from this and you're on the fence about the challenge, join the challenge. Like join the challenge. If you're on the fence about it, get off the fence. Choose a side. The challenge is only going to benefit you. Like it's not going to hurt you. You'll get an opportunity to ask more questions. We have a form where you could actually fill out and you could just put questions in there, and all the coaches come and we all talk, and so you get the opportunity to get answers from everybody based on their experience and their expertise. Link is in the chat. Once again, if you guys want to, you could join the community for free. I'll put the link in the chat for that one more time. And then hit the like button and share this out. Invite one of your friends to join with you, somebody that you care about, you want to see successful, have them join with you. Create your own little community. You know what I mean? Like the secret area, the group that we have is amazing because you could find people locally. You guys can meet up. I just saw a meetup this week between two community members. Like that type of stuff helps you begin the process of build your village. All right. Thank you all for chilling with me tonight. I'll be back later on this week. Some of the other coaches, I think, got some live streams set up for y'all. So it's going to be a nice, good week. It's going to be very informative. With that being said, the application of knowledge is power, and I will see you all on the next live. Peace. Good night.